welcome back. We are not for Sunday mornings.
We are.
And I'm Chris. This is Steve. And our topic this week is
why do I mess up?
Why do I mess up? It's a great question.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was good. I enjoyed it. Like I thought you did a really good job up there. And yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. No, it was good. Like I think you made a lot of really, really good points. And I know for me, like when I was sitting in there, like I kept thinking of Paul saying, like, why do I do the things I don't want to do anymore? And so it's not a new problem that we're dealing with. I mean, it goes all the way back to the beginning. And so it's definitely a relevant question to ask and not one that kids just ask. I think adults and, you know, like I said, with Paul, like, if Paul asks it, you know, we're all in trouble at that point. So I got a couple, like, I guess, leading questions into this. So do you think becoming a Christian makes you more aware of your sin rather than less aware of it?
Yeah, more. Because I think before, I'm sure we all have a lot of different thoughts here, but I think the closer you get to Christ, the more you are aware of your sin. I mean, because before you know Christ, you don't even know what sin is. What do you mean? There's no sin. It's you live in life. There's no, maybe you know things are bad or
right or wrong or something like that.
But even that, it's not like sin isn't a thing. And that's why I think I opened with like, hey, this isn't for those who aren't following Christ. Because I'm not asking people who don't follow Christ to act like they're following Christ. It's stupid. So,
right. It's something we always argue about because I think it's one of the downfalls of a lot of Christians is we look at society and we say they're not doing the Christian thing. Right. Well, no duh, they're not doing the Christian things. They're not Christians. Right. Like that's Yeah. So that's I think for that. So. Okay. All right. What do you got so far?
I got some things. First of all, that it was the difficulty of trying to walk that line of not just beating people up and making them like crushed, and then also though not ignoring the weight of sin and just say grace, grace, grace. And so trying to walk that line of both. Mm-hmm. I had some fun internally doing that. I tried to. I don't know if it came across. I tried to set everybody up about how they're bad and weak, and then like you really yell at them about that, and then kind of flip it around. So for me, that was just like a thing I was having fun with. Like, I don't know if anybody picked up on it, but it was fun.
No, I like that. I mean, it is a tightrope to walk because I think you did. In all honesty, like, and not just blowing smoke, like, I really feel like you did do it masterfully because
masterfully,
man.
You can tell Chris is sick this week.
No, but what you did is number one, we know that there are people who walk into the service every Sunday and they want their lashings and they want to feel bad about themselves for the hour that they're there and then go home and do whatever they want to do and justify it in that regard. And I think the way that you walked that and pointed that out to begin with, but then you come back and instead of just focusing on the sin aspect, you do bring in the grace aspect as well. And I think you tied it in a manner that made sense. And I think in all honesty, like, I think it is a difficult thought process to have. It's a difficult thought process to have, like, yes, I'm a sinner. Yes, I'm sinning. Yes, I need to stop sinning. And yes, I don't have to do things to earn my way. Yeah. It almost feels like an oxymoron. Like, it's a weighty thing to deal with. And I think you did a really good job trying to explain that to the audience at that point.
I tried. Yeah. Some things that didn't make the sermon. I didn't spend a lot of time with why doesn't God take the struggle away. I talk a little bit about it, but not as much as I was gonna. In fact, I had like a whole thing about possible markers of growth because I think we judge ourselves pretty harshly that we're not growing. And I think if we were to be able to, so one of the things I didn't put in was I took a picture. I have a friend, Anita, who goes here, and she came here as a preschool student, and I marked her height inside of my door frame when we had offices. When we did all the remodel, that frame is very important to me. So that frame is in a back closet. We moved it to a back closet. Nobody else knows it's there, but all the markings are there. And so last week I had Anita, who now is I don't know how old she, 6th grade, 7th grade,
Yeah,
8th grade.
7th grade, I think. Yeah,
she's old now. I had her stand by and made a mark, and you could see the growth. Like it's remarkable, right? And I was going to use that as a sign of like, hey, you are growing. Maybe it doesn't feel like it, but let's step back, and I think we do see growth. And I think some of the things that possible markers of growth is like we do recognize sin sooner, we confess quicker, we make fewer excuses, we invite others into our problems. We begin to hate what sin does. Like I think that's something as you get more mature, you start to hate sin. We turn towards Jesus faster. The fruit of the Spirit, it becomes more visible. We're more loving, patient, kind, all that stuff. And so I think if I didn't put any of that in there because it felt a little like I could have got lost in the sauce. So, but that's one of the things I didn't make it was just helping people to see that you might be growing more than you realize. You know?
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking of is just if people ask the question, what actually changed in my relationship with sin when I became a Christian? Like if you sit and contemplate that, like that's your growth, right? Like where am I at in that? What's that marker kind of look like? But yeah.
And so much of it so much of it's internal. That's the whole thing. It's like we want to well, I become a Christian and now I point out sin in everybody else. And that's just hot garbage. So take care of yourself, you know, and I think that's where, in fact, the more I recognize sin in me, the harder it is to point it out in others because who am I? You know what I mean? Like I'm a hot mess.
Right. So, like you almost become more timid to do it.
You recognize his grace, how strong his grace is.
Right.
And like, it's so unworthy.
And I think like the times that if it's done, if you do it and you do it right, it more is an act of kindness and love than it is anything else.
It has to come from love. If it's not, then it's not.
Right.
Like, that's the whole thing. Is like, if it's not from love.
I think the biggest one I can think of, like there were several of us involved, and it was like we tried through love, like, hey, how can we help you? How can we show you like what you're doing is detrimental, not just to you but other people. And, yeah.
And then the other thing that didn't make the sermon, I didn't spend a lot of time talking about shame. I think like after we fall, the enemy does probably some of his greatest work.
Oh, for
and
sure.
That you sin and shame drives us away from the person we need the most. And so, you know, I didn't talk about like guilt and shame or what does the Holy Spirit conviction look like? How do I know the difference between both? And I just, again, I felt like it was too much in there to deal with that. But,
yeah, that's another tough one. And I think in adding that, it's an extra layer. Like it's that idea that we have, we have guilt.
Yeah, and guilt says I did wrong. Shame says I am wrong.
Right.
I think that's the difference.
And I think we blend them though quite often, and because we don't recognize that, and I think that's definitely where Satan takes hold is that we just don't recognize the difference between the two.
Yeah.
I did have another question. Like so like you talked about when we try to combine like having to work hard at not sinning but not having to work hard to earn God. Like so how do you work incredibly hard at becoming like Jesus without believing your hard work makes God accept you? Like I think that's a difficult thing to again. I think because we're humans, it's hard to separate those in our mind, like our hard work and the fact that we're doing something, and then. I think because we live in such an award-based economy in all things that we do, right? Like it's hard not to see it that way. What's the advice to somebody for that, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I stink at that. So I
do too. I know.
And I try. Part of it's being aware and like recognizing that. I am blessed that every Sunday I get to stand up, most every Sunday, and speak to people. And in that moment, for me, I am always amazed at what God does with those words. And for me, it's so much bigger than what I am. And it's like, for me, like a reminder of how big he is and how, despite my many failings and fallings, that he can still use me. And it doesn't, and, you know, so for me, I'm blessed with that reminder. And it is, I mean, every week I am amazed at what God does not, because I'm like, I'm an idiot, you know, and that he can use anything. So that's helpful for me. I think, having friends around that we talk and say, they'll catch things like, or confessing, you know, part of that's doing this thing together. And like, hey, look how much I read. And we brag about that. But, you know, I mean, when you just have people hold you accountable with some of that. So That's where maybe. But it's hard though.
It is.
Yeah.
What else did you leave out? Anything?
That was all I left out. I got a couple of things to dig on, but you got pushback or something.
I do have some pushback here.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so I think you used the line, when I sin, in that moment I choose sin over Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is it really a conscious choice between sin and Jesus?
I don't. Yeah. I mean, I think we sin ignorantly often, and so probably not in those. But there are times, maybe. Again, I made a point of yesterday talking about looking at an image on my phone for too long. Kind of hinted at some things. Not going into too much detail there, but there are times you make a choice, like know right and wrong, and it's like, I'm going to do wrong right now. And I don't think. You think about a little kid that steals a cookie and knows it's wrong to steal a cookie, and like, well, I'm going to eat the cookie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I look at sin, I think, because the way I look at it, when we become Christians, so I'll use my analogy I always use, we're big smelly onions, right? And our sins are those onion layers, right? And so when we become Christians, we become convicted of. We're not convicted of all of our sins. We're convicted of the ones that Christ feels like we can work through to start with. And so you peel off that layer, and then you work on that next layer, and you keep working on layer after layer after layer.
Yeah.
So I think, like, I find it hard to say, like, that it's always a conscious, because I think if we're not convicted of the sin, it's hard to say, like, yeah, we're absolutely choosing a sin over Christ. I think sometimes it's, like you said, ignorance. There's a lot of ignorance in our lives about it, and until the Holy Spirit convicts us, we really are not. We're not going to be able to work on that, and that's where it becomes hard, because, like, that's where other Christians come in and say, "Oh, but you're doing this," and we had a big argument, not you and I, but there was a big discussion years ago about, like, do sins have rank? Do sins have like. And if a person has this sin, and do we let them do things in the church and stuff like that? And so, like, I think I lean towards more like, it's not every time. It's, you just may not be aware of it yet.
Yeah.
And that's where I think, like, in your spiritual life, that's where you pray, like, God, show me where I'm wrong, show me where I can improve, show me where I can do better, because He will, and it'll hurt. And it'll be bad for a while, but it goes away at some point. So you're going to mess up, right? So could emphasizing inevitable failure accidentally lower expectations for holiness?
That was the most AI-generated question I've ever heard in my life. You're going to mess up. What was the question?
No, you used the line, you're going to mess up.
I know I used the line.
Yeah, so my question is, if are you setting the bar low when you say that?
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, I think that's where you say, like, where Paul says, I don't keep on sinning so I can grace get, yes, there's a reality of that we're going to mess up. And that's not an excuse to mess up, but that's also, that was more encouraging to people who feel they have to be perfect. And part of that stems from, again, I went to the high school thing, the retreat a month or so ago, and some of the boys, were deeply bothered that they're not reading the Bible enough, and they're not doing these things right enough. And it was like, and I get having a hunger towards holiness, and I get all that, but it's like the bar is so high that if I'm not this, then God is this. And that's where I think we got to be real careful. Like, God's grace overwhelms me because I mess up every week. And then again, I don't mess up, so you know what I mean? It's like that weird handheld thing, but like,
yeah, I think, again, and Paul literally wrote the books on this, right? Like, where he talks about not just does grace abound, but he reminds us that every time we sin, we're re-crucifying Christ, right? And so I think it's to think about that, is what was done for us and what our sin really means, and goes through that. But
yeah, that didn't make the sermon. I did a lot of work this week in Romans. That never.
I couldn't imagine you. I was actually surprised that you didn't just do the whole thing from Romans. It is hard.
Because Romans is like, I think my next challenge after I get done spending a year in Leviticus is spend a year in Romans. I think Romans would be more harder than Leviticus. Honestly, Romans is so difficult, and it's so the way it's worded to make. So I feel like I am very simple in like I want to keep things very simple at a very level or people can understand and not being dumb, right? But and so Romans is so complex, and so to make it simple is just, it was beyond me this week. And I tried and I just couldn't do it. And so I used just a little part of Romans, but not at all. But if I was going to do that, I don't do what I want to do. I do what I want. And man, it's too, because everything lays on the what's before it. So you can't.
You're right. Yeah, Romans really does build on itself.
Because you can't. And so then the way I read, I can't say context before content and then just drop a verse in there. So now we got to go back 4 chapters, and now we're setting this up, and it just becomes this. It becomes like a college level course, a presentation, not a sermon.
Yeah.
And so I just couldn't make it work. So I quit fighting halfway through, and then.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. It was challenging.
I get that.
Yeah.
You said, is struggling with sin evidence you're growing?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is conviction evidence of sanctification? And if I continually refuse, if I continually refuse to act on it.
Okay, so I don't quite understand. So is conviction?
So like at some point I say I feel terrible every time I do this. At some point that's not enough, right? Like,
right, yeah.
So the question I guess falls more into like, what does biblical repentance look like?
Yeah, well, that's turning away and, in that moment, turning away from that and turning towards God and taking those steps to go home. A repeated sin, a repeated struggle. I think in just a moment, we're going to talk a little bit about, I have a little experiment I want to do with putting things to death and some practical natures of that. And I think some of that is that there'll come a point where you will be so sick of it and maybe you'll realize you can't do it on your own. And so you will invite brothers and sisters in to walk with you. You'll take steps to try, to keep moving forward, even though it might be slow growth or slow movement.
Okay. I mean, that's
I don't know
fair.
if that helps. I don't know.
No, I get where you're coming from with that. And kind of in the same vein, I'm going to ask a slightly different question, because you said does God really not waste the struggle, right? And so I think just for clarification points, like, because I could see it being interpreted as God needs me to sin to sanctify me.
Okay.
And so like, can we clarify that? Like,
I think I said something like, we don't need to sin to prove God. Like Paul talks about that in Romans 6, that we don't go on sinning to do that. So, I didn't quite understand the question. So
like, it was more of, can we just clarify the idea? Cause like, I think there's a way of hearing that and saying like, oh, God needs me to sin to sanctify me.
Yeah. And maybe some folks feel that way. I would lean more towards the people that constantly beat themselves up because they're not good enough. And so it's like, I wanted them to have a little bit of hope in there that the struggle, while painful and not perfect and not ideal and you wouldn't want to do it, it's not going to be wasted. And like, I think that the prodigal son story, which is actually kind of neat. So this question
stemmed from the prodigal son.
So the question was, is it okay to be the prodigal son?
Yes.
That was the question. And so that got me thinking, like, what's beyond that question, which got to the messed up thing. So for me, like, I think the prodigal son, he learned stuff while he was away. I don't want to pull on that string because it's a story, but like probably the value of money and the value of earning. And I mean, some practical lessons he learned. And then he also learned how great his father is. He finally realized how kind his father is, even because he came home and the reason he turns, he said, well, at least my dad takes care of the people that work for him. And so I know he won't receive me as a son because he's not like that, but he would receive me as a servant. And so all of a sudden now he sees a whole new dimension of his father that he never saw before, because what father runs out and grabs him and protects him, right, and saves his life? I mean, like, so again, I think that happened because of the struggle, whereas the older son doesn't have that struggle and kind of goes in a different direction.
Yeah.
So, so I think the struggle is, I don't want to see the struggle. If you're someone who beats yourself up because you keep falling or keep failing, first I speak grace to you, and I just want, are you walking towards, are you getting up and moving towards it? It might just be a small step, but are you working toward? And I just want to encourage that, not just stay down in the mud or, that you're useless or a failure and all that. That part, not very
Or
helpful.
even just giving up, because
Yeah,
I think that's
giving
an
up.
easy one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got?
So the thing I wanted to dig on was I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a little thought experiment here. Paul says put to death, right, things. And so I thought it would be kind of neat to put some practical thoughts to this. So sometimes I think we pray for God to take something away, making it considerably easy for ourselves to return to it. At some point, a prayer needs to be followed by like a deleting an app or an action step, right? Or having a conversation, right? And so I got some practical examples of what we could put to death, and then I thought we could have fun, kind of talking about how we could put it to death.
Okay.
Number one, pornography.
So there are programs out there.
Okay.
Like one that I know of is called XXX Church, and so you, if you want to get rid of, if you're really serious about this is the way to go. And because my understanding is the way that this works is this. Essentially, it's like a filter on your internet, and you put on your phone and all that kind of stuff, and it not just blocks and everything like that, but when you have accountability partners that you sign up along with with that, and when you put in an appropriate search term or anything like that, it emails your accountability partner. And it's funny because I had a friend who used it and who was also very much into politics. And so like they kept looking up Dick Durbin and I would get emails every once in a while.
That's funny.
But I mean, it does everything like, and again, it does require trust. It has accountability. And so for a person to come to you and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this and I really want to abandon it. And so when you get an email, I need you to call me on that kind of situation. Like that's an easy way of doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's some practical things too. First of all, recognize what is happening in that moment. It's probably a cry for intimacy. And so are there times in your life where you're alone and that's a quick fix? Is it a control issue? There's a lot of mental stuff happening in that moment. And so being aware of that, I think the practical nature too of, hey, this happens at a certain time of the night. And so maybe at that certain time of night, I'm going to put myself in a different spot, so I'm not in that same spot. I'm going to remove that. Sure. For those that are really struggling with it, there's a great organization. I think it's called Stolen Valor. Theo Vaughn had the guy who runs it on his podcast a few weeks ago, and it's a service for men mainly that struggle with that, and it's supposed to be a really remarkable program. So. I think one thing is just not to recognize it's not just something that happens and then it goes like. Correct. Like it's destructive. It can own you, and it's easy to think, well, this isn't hurting anybody but myself, and that's not true. You're furthering an institution that leads to oppression and obviously terrible things.
There's a lot of bad things with it. Yeah.
Okay, next one, alcohol. And I'm not because you get drink all you, but I'm saying.
Yeah. So alcohol. If you struggle with it and it's a sin. I don't know. AA. Well, AA is a good program to get into.
Get in a program. Get with people.
Celebrate Recovery is another one.
Recovery. Walk with people. Walk with people.
Yeah.
How about gossip?
Cut out your tongue. Gosh, a lot of these are going to be. I think you can easily go to tell somebody, but do you know you're a gossip if you're a gossip? Like, like, do you need it being pointed out first? And then I think usually it's amongst friends or whatever. And so the friend just has to call you out on it when you're doing it. Because gossip tends to be a public-private thing, right? Like if I'm gossiping, it's going to be you and me talking. It's not going to be 100 prying eyes on me, I think
and part of it's recognizing. It's part of the recognition is like, oh, what happens when you share that story inside? Because more than likely you get a little bit of a rush.
Oh, for sure.
And you get a little bit like, ooh. I think if you notice that rush, that could be the sign of the Spirit saying, hey, maybe you're gossiping here. And that begins that. What about anger? I shouldn't have just dropped these.
You shouldn't have. No, you needed to give me this list beforehand. Gosh, anger. Okay, I'm going to go Mr. Rogers, Daniel Tiger, count. Like, when you're getting angry. Like, take that moment, count to 5, and literally, like, anytime you can remove yourself from that. So this is something actually I deal with a lot as an educator, is telling the kid you've got to remove yourself from that situation.
Yeah.
Because the longer you stay in that situation, the more angry you're going to get, and the less you're going to be able to control your actions at that point. And so
that's good. That's good. I think part of it is recognizing what your body does.
Yes.
Because before something comes out, you'll notice a tightening, a flushness, a heart rate. You'll notice something in your body that'll trigger that fight or flight. And then, so when that happens, part of that is that's early enough to be like, okay, something just happened. I need to step back.
Yep.
I need to pull back.
And when I work with kids through this, like, it's what happened. Okay, so what did, and it does get down to, because they don't, like, with kids, they don't recognize it. And I'm going to assume adults are at the same level.
Right.
Like, if you're struggling with this, you don't actually recognize what's going on.
Right.
And so sitting them down and saying, what happened beforehand? Like, and what did you notice happened with you when that happened? And walking them through and talking. And you don't have to be a psychologist to do that. Like, it just as a good friend, like, hey, you're really struggling with this. Let's talk how you go through that. But
Last one.
All right.
Materialism.
Cut up the credit cards. I think it's similar in a certain level to pornography nowadays. Well, no, because I'm thinking consumerism, not materialism. Man, it's take a break. Like, in all honesty, like, I think having some of the stuff we have, like, if we just set it aside and put it aside for a week or whatever and realize we don't really need that kind of stuff. I almost think back to, like, when our kids when they were really young and they got, like, toys for as a baby for Christmas, like, we wouldn't give them all the toys after Christmas Day. Like, we'd take some and we'd put it away to the side, and then you know, when they kind of got bored with the ones that they had, like, we'd rotate them out, and they just never recognized or realized kind of situation. I don't know if that's the right
trying to
answer.
put things to death.
Right, that's true.
So for me, I thought about a couple of years ago, we had a guy come and speak, and he talked about struggling with this, and he didn't buy shoes for a year.
Oh yeah, and then you talked about that.
And I did that.
Yes.
So for now, Audrey will say I did buy a pair of shoes, but they were hiking shoes for the hiking trip.
Okay.
They weren't like shoes for fun shoes.
Yep.
But yeah, it was like, because I have a shoe.
You
had a shoe
love
problem.
shoes.
I did.
Yes.
I'm much. I will
You've gotten
say
better at it.
I'm much better because of that now. But, and honestly, taking that year off, it, like, you know, it killed it, right? It killed it. It was an aggressive step, and I think that's part of this is, like, if you're willing to kill something, it's not just dancing around it. It's like, oh, we're gonna kill it. We're gonna kill it.
And it's having someone to hold you. In the end, like, everything you have to have someone to hold you accountable it, because you're going to cheat yourself before anything else. And so like, when you made that promise from the pulpit, you're like, hold me to this. And I was waiting for that jacket to come back out.
Stupid
and
jacket.
I never saw it. So I'm like, oh, I think he's holding to it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him cycle through that yet.
So that's all I got from the sermon. So
yeah, I think the only last couple of questions, and just because I couldn't remember if you did this or not, but we used some pretty big church words, sanctification and justification.
I didn't use justification.
No, but like
Sanctification.
Sanctification was used. So like, I couldn't remember. Did you define that enough? Okay, all right.
I think so. Yeah, the ongoing process of becoming like Christ.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You did.
And it's that process of that it takes time. It's that handshake of what He does in us, but also our effort. That's that kind of that murky middle ground. Like, what do we do and what does He do? And because Paul says, put to death, and there are actions we do, but then also it's by His Spirit that makes things aware, and that we start to. It's that handshake of, you know. Yeah,
and we work because God's working through us, right? It's not because I don't think without God we couldn't do any of this stuff.
One of my favorite lines is, you're not fighting for an identity, you're fighting from an identity.
Yes.
And I think that's huge, because again, that goes to that idea of like, I've got to earn this versus like, I am chosen, beloved, and holy for Paul. And from that place, I'm going to do these things. This was done for me. Now from this, I go and do that. And so when we can flip that, it shifts, it does something in our hearts. And I think that's,
Yeah. I think too, like, there's this strange overlap as Christians, right? Like, we're we've been made new, but we're being renewed, and we will be fully transformed. Like there's this just this weirdness that exists in how we live as Christians, and so. But yeah, yeah. So
I got some quick fire. If we're there yet,
we can be there.
You got more? Or no?
No, I'm good.
Quick fire. Okay. What's something you thought you'd have figured out by this age, but absolutely do not? Too deep.
Too deep.
Okay.
No. Gosh, that relationships still. I still struggle with relationships, but I struggle with emotion. So
Having some?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Caring?
You want me to call you out?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, so for people who don't know, I was in the hospital last week.
I knew this was coming. I didn't visit you. I texted you.
You did text me, but I'm like,
I was going to tell you when you're in there to go visit Debbie. Hey, while you're in there, go swing on Deb.
But I had like two other.
Anyone else visit?
Yeah, I did. I had two elders visit me actually.
Ooh, Brian?
No, he was going to, but he was moving his son into college, and he ran out of time. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Like,
people.
I really don't care if you visit
funny.
me or not. But
that's funny.
But
I was like, I don't got to visit. I know him.
But it was the first thing I thought was like, I had your text messages and it sounded like you're coming in, and I'm like, just don't worry about it. And then you didn't come at all.
And it was so funny because I grabbed my keys when I texted you Saturday. I was about to come because I'm like, okay, I got some time now. I'm going to shoot.
And I'm like, I'm out.
And you're like, I just left. I'm like, oh, dang it. That's not good.
No, it was fun.
That was funny.
Like,
I know.
Sorry.
No, I know.
All right. Sorry, I can't even read my screen right now. Go ahead. See, what do you got?
What's harder, starting a good habit or stopping a bad one?
I think stopping a bad one, in all honesty.
They're both hard.
They're both hard. Because like there's psychology that shows like it takes 30 days to start a new habit, and that's hard to do because you make one break in it and it's done. Like you have to restart the whole process over again. What's harder for you, receiving grace or giving it?
Receiving.
Yeah, I would think that. I would think that also.
Yeah, because then I owe you something. I don't like owing anybody anything. So.
I know, and that's but again, that's the reality that we struggle with as Christians with God. Like it's like I owe you something, so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z.
That's what it's ugly.
And it does.
Yeah. How about this? I know I'm growing spiritually when ...
I know I'm growing spiritually when life gets harder. I think one thing we talk about as elders is, especially we tell new elders, like when you come on, you've got a target on your back, and that's because you're doing something that is spiritually it's influencing that spiritual warfare, and the enemy does not like it at all. And so I feel like life does get a little harder when you're growing spiritually because you're doing something the enemy does not like, and he's trying to hold you back, and that's where we have to persevere, and we have to turn towards God and really like try to dig in and beg for his mercy and grace at that point. So, who has permission to call you out?
I mean, so anybody can call me out. Whether I own it, whether I care what they say is a different question. So
that's true.
Whose opinion do I value?
Yeah,
I would say Audrey's, obviously.
For sure. I agree.
I think you. I think Brian, the elders here too. Yeah, the elders here, but more so like probably you and Audrey, Harth. Brian. Yeah, there's a few people that I whose opinion I would value. Sherry probably. There's probably people that I would at least listen to
more to what they had to say.
Everybody tells me what I'm doing. I mean,
I know they do.
So I get that. So part of it's like, do I own what people say to me? And there's certain people I need to own. I do. I trust them, and so I own. And sometimes I'll go to them with something and be like, "Hey, this is said. Is this what you see?" And then I trust that they can say, "Oh, no," or "Yes," or maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's funny you say that because I had ChatGPT a while ago. I did this prompt where it was like, everything you know about me, list the things I don't see about me. My blind spots. And it was pretty harsh. And I had like people read it and they agreed with it. And so it really, I threw it out, but it was pretty It was pretty difficult.
I remember you told me about that, but I never read it.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I don't know.
I'll have to bring it back out. It's honestly very scarily like accurate. So, okay.
I only go for the positive ones. Tell me everything you love about me. And
Tell me how great I am. Last question for me. One person, living or dead, besides Jesus, who has modeled Christ likeness for you.
My grandfather.
Yeah.
I think like I'm sitting here having these conversations with you and 100% because of him. Like I couldn't put it anywhere else.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Okay. This one may not be a quick question,
Sure.
but I think it's worth addressing. Is addiction just another word for sin?
I don't think it's another word for sin.
Because I think this is important because we talked about things that are addicting, right, and that people can have an addiction to. But if we're going to be real about things, yes, it's a sin, but it's, in my opinion at least, it's there are diseases that right, and I want people to be cautious about that and understand like you can still work. I think recognizing it and working with that, right, and knowing that there are addictions that are diseases, and most addictions actually turn into diseases because it's a whole, like even the whole pornography thing, like it rewires your brain, and so like it can be a disease in that manner, and so like it's not, yes, it's a sin, but the treatment's going to be greater sometimes than just getting on your knees and praying. Sometimes that works, right? Like, and there are miraculous stories of people like, I was cured like that. You know, the minute I accepted Christ, I stopped smoking, swearing, and chewing tobacco, you know, and just went that way. But
smoking, swearing, and chewing tobacco.
I don't know where I was going with that one. I meant drinking, but you know,
I can't believe I didn't visit you. That's hilarious.
Know. It was.
You got me there. I know. I felt so terrible.
I didn't because I like.
Oh, yes, you did because you brought it up.
I just said, "Do you want me to call you out?" That was all I said.
That's hilarious.
So
who else visited you?
Huh?
What's the other elder?
Vance
Oh,
and Mark. Well, Mark works there, right? So he goes to everyone, right?
Yeah,
and
Mark's
so
good. Yeah.
He's really good about that. And then Vance showed up, and Brian texted me saying, "Oh, I'm going to try," and then he ran late with moving his kid into college, and then there I sat all alone just waiting for Steve.
All by myself.
Actually, I didn't want anyone to visit me because they never moved me out of the
you
ER.
never had a real room. It was like a
No,
hallway.
my wife even kept saying, like, did they move you yet?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, just stay home. It's like...
Your wife didn't visit you? That's funny.
She came like 3 times, I think.
Oh, that's funny.
There was like one, she was like, I really want to take the kids to go see a movie Saturday. I'm like, just go. Like, what are you going to do? Sit here and like, you're going to stare at the walls just like I'm doing at this point. Like, so.
Man.
But no, it was all good.
All right. So next week. Well, this week, follow the devotional if you want to follow along. Yeah.
Smash that like
button.
Smash
the subscribe button. Don't do that.
Or tune us out. Like, I don't know. At a certain point. Yeah.
I already have. But next week.
Yeah. What's our next week?
Ooh.
You got it. Oh, yeah, that's right. We were just discussing this briefly.
If God is love, why is there hell?
This is a good one. This is a topic like...
Not a good one.
Well, it's good because it's so ignored as a topic that it's good that we're addressing it, kind of thing.
It's probably the one I'd looked forward to the least. That's why it's at the end.
Did you really like it? Okay, so compared this to the one that we gave to Silas, which one would you rather preach?
Oh, Silas is easy. That one's easy. Why did bad things happen?
Yeah.
I think that's very simple. I mean, I think on a mental level, I can understand that. And on an empathetic level and compassion, I can understand that. The hell one's hard because there's a lot of like nuance to the word and a lot of different weird thoughts and I don't know. And so I think I'm settling on a good takeaway maybe, but we're still early. So
okay.
Ask me tomorrow.
Ask you tomorrow? All right. I'll tell you what, I'll come visit you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Appreciate it.
Keep asking good questions.
All right.
We should have a theme song.
We tried that.
Yeah, it didn't work.